Hello, besties. Welcome back to my personal diary podcast. My name is Fitboo. If you don't know me already, welcome to my channel. I hope you're doing well. Today, I wanted to talk about breakups. It could be relationship breakups or even a friendship breakup. If you're listening to that right now and you're going through that, I really think that this episode will help you. Well, I hope so. Because I did went through a really hard breakup myself. So I don't know if you guys know, but I only had one boyfriend in my life. And honestly, I thought that I would have made my life with him. The first time I've met him, when I was with him, I really thought that this was my person. I really loved him so much. It clicked. We have so much in common. And I really saw myself building a future with him. But sadly, I am not with him anymore. It's been 2 years. And honestly, it was one of the hardest breakup. Like, I did have a few breakup, but it was like not that serious. But my ex was seriously one of the hardest breakup I've went through in my life. I really loved him, and it was really hard for me to accept the fact that we're not meant to be together, and it's not always easy when you go through those kind of things. And that's why I wanted to make that podcast episode, because I know that a lot of people are going through that at the moment. I have a couple of friends that is going through that, and it's never easy. And I remember when I broke up with my boyfriend at the time, I really wish that I would have listened to a podcast episode a little bit like I'm making right now. Talk a little bit about my breakup, my experience, and how I moved on from that person. Because like I said, I really saw myself like building a future with him, and I really thought that this was the man of my life. Okay, I really loved him so much. But things happen and life changes, and sometimes it just doesn't work anymore with someone, even though that you love them. Sometimes you just have to accept the fact that it's not working, it's not making you happy anymore. And it's sad to say, but you really have to put yourself first in those kind of situation. And what I like to do when I'm in a relationship with someone is to go to the end, give my 100% and put all the effort I can to fix the relationship. But sometimes it just doesn't work. Okay, sometimes it just doesn't work. And even though both of you can make efforts, sometimes it's just not meant to be, and you have to accept that. And it's really hard at first. I remember when I broke up with my boyfriend at the time, I had to move back in with my dad, and it was honestly so hard for me. I went into a depression. I did a burnout also. You guys know I talk a little bit about that, but this was mainly my cause of my depression, because I had to change my whole life again. I had to change my habit. I was living with him. So it was so much change in a short amount of time. And I think that this was like the most difficult thing to do when you have to change your whole life completely in a short amount of time. It takes time, okay, to get your body used to the change, and it can be really, really hard. And that's why I wanted to make this podcast episode, to help you and guide you. And even if you can just relate to this podcast episode, maybe I can make you feel less alone and more understood. That's all I want. So when I broke up with my boyfriend, I went deep into my depression. And it took a lot of time. Okay, I was not with my boyfriend that long. We stayed together for like 8 months. But like I said, I really imagined myself living the rest of my life with him. So even though it was a short amount of time, I really, really loved him so much. So when I broke up with him, it was really, really hard mentally. And it took me maybe I think, a year and a half to really get over that person. And it literally broke my heart. Okay, I didn't date for like a year, and it was really hard for me because every time I met someone new, I was like, that's not him. Like, I want him. I know it clicks with him, you know? So every time I met with someone, I was just not ready. So, first thing you need to do when you are going through a breakup is to give yourself some time, okay? You don't have any time frame for healing when you're going through a breakup. Some people get over it in like 2 months, some people it takes years, and some people just don't give a fuck and they get over it like so quickly. But for me, it took me almost a year and a half. It was really, really long since I was completely over him, okay? And the thing about getting over someone, there's gonna be time where you think you're over them, but then you're gonna go back into old pattern and say like, fuck, I fucking miss them. Like, I'm not over them. And I want you to know that it is completely normal, okay? It's completely normal that maybe sometimes you're gonna think that you're over them, but sometimes you're just gonna go deep in the darkness. That's really deep. That's really deep. But sometimes you're just gonna go deep in that darkness again and you're gonna miss them, and that's okay. That is totally normal. Like I always say, like, healing is never linear, okay? It's a roller coaster. It's up and down, and it is totally normal, okay? So I've read a little bit online about breakups and the stages of breakups, because breaking up with someone is like a grief, okay? It's like you're removing someone from your life that you really deeply loved, and you are in a grief. It's really interesting to know about those grief and those stages of grief, because it helps you understand in which part you're in and how to get over that, basically. The first stage of grief, aka breakups, is denial. So the first stage, you always think that the person that you love, they're gonna come back, okay? You always have that little bit of hope. You're not taking that really seriously, and you think that you guys are just gonna go back together and it's all gonna be okay. So you're really just in the denial of the breakup, and you just don't want to accept the fact that you guys are done. And I think it's just because you have that little bit of hope in your heart that I personally think is so cute, but it can be really hard when you realize that they're not coming back. And this is what we bring into the next stages, is anger. So after the little denial phase, you're gonna be in the anger phase. So you're gonna be really angry about that person. You're gonna be really angry about how that person treated you. You're gonna be angry that it didn't work out. Maybe you're gonna think that you wasted your time, and you're just gonna feel a lot of anger. It's not gonna be fun. It's not gonna be fun. And again, I just want to remind you that those stages, they don't have a time frame, okay? They don't have a time frame. So you could be in the denial phase for like months or weeks, and you can be in the anger phase for like a year, even more or less. It doesn't really have any time frame. So don't pressure yourself to heal. I really want you to take your time to heal and take your time to process the breakup. I think that's like the most important thing, to not compare yourself to like, okay, for example, it's been 2 years now, why am I not over it? It is normal, okay? And it's normal that you ask yourself those kind of questions, because personally, when it has been 1 year since I've broken up with my boyfriend at the time, I was like, why am I not over it? Why am I still thinking about him? Why am I still missing him? It doesn't make any sense to me. Like, it's been such a long time, and I was really pressuring myself to heal, but this is probably one of the worst thing you can do, is to pressure yourself. So I really want you to take your time to heal, okay? It is not easy. It is sad, and it's not really easy to get over a person that you really loved, okay? So the next stages of the breakup that I think is really funny, because I didn't really get through that. Well, maybe a little bit. I'm lying. Maybe a little bit, okay? The next phase is bargaining. So bargaining is when you try to make a friendship with your ex. Is when you try to make things right without getting back into a relationship with them, but you try to be friend with them and still keep them into your life. And when I said that I lied about going through that phases, is that I didn't really try to be friends with him, but I did, after a year, just texted him, and like I just wanted some news on how he was, how his family was, and stuff like that. So I did went a little bit through that phase, but I knew that it wasn't good for me to reconnect with that person, and it was not good for me to be friend with my ex, because I personally think that it is toxic. And if you really want to heal from the breakup, being friend with your ex is probably one of the worst thing you can do. If you really want to heal, the best thing I did to heal from my breakup was to go no contact. So like, before texting him about how he was doing, we went a year without talking, okay? I even blocked him at some point, because I didn't want him to see like his posts and stuff like that, because he is a content creator. So like, obviously I did see some of his stuff, but at some point I even blocked him, and then I unblocked him because I was like, I'm ready for it. But the best thing you can do if you really want to heal and get over someone is to go no contact. Because if you still keep in contact with that person, how do you expect to heal? How do you expect to move on? You're gonna see them maybe hanging out with other people, and it's gonna hurt you. And maybe you're gonna see them kiss someone else, and you can't really heal from a breakup when you see your ex kissing and hanging out with other people. That's like impossible. And if you can, I mean, you're a fucking superhero, because that shit is really hard. So we really went no contact for about a year, and then I texted him, asked him how he was doing, pretty much. But I see a lot of people going through the bargaining stages, and I personally think that it's really toxic to do that, but it is necessary for some people, because that's when you're really gonna realize that you guys are never gonna be together again. You guys are not meant for each other, because you're gonna see them hanging out with other people, you're gonna see them kiss other people, and that shit's gonna hurt. That shit's gonna hurt, and that is literally when you are gonna realize that it is done. You guys are officially done. And that brings us to the next stages of the grief. It's depression. So that is when shit get hard, okay? This is one of the hardest part, I think, of the breakup, is the depression, the realization that you guys are, like I said, officially done, and you're gonna need to spend some time alone in that case, and it really gonna hurt. It really gonna hurt. I know that I went into that phase maybe, I think, 6 months after my breakup, but it was really hard. And I think for me personally, it was the phases that I stayed in the longest. I stayed in the depression phase for the longest because it really hurt my soul, that I just realized that we were not meant to be together, and that shit hurt. And what I did in that moment to like feel better, because I still want to give you guys some tips and not just like explain to you like the stages of the grief of a breakup, you know. I still want to give you some tips, but one of the things that helped me the most, honestly, in that depression phases is to journal about my feeling. Okay, you really want to get your feelings out. You really want to feel all of your emotion. I think it's just so important, because if you keep that inside and you don't talk about it, you don't journal about it, it's gonna really be hard for you to understand how you feel and to visualize how you feel, and it's gonna be really hard for you to process everything. And breakups, it's all about processing the new. Okay, breakups is all about processing the news, and it's never easy. So I really want you to feel your emotion. Okay, feel your emotion, but don't stay in those emotions. Okay, so I want you to write that out, put your heart out on the table, write it down, talk to someone, cry if you need, lay in bed and be depressed. Okay, it's gonna feel really good for you. It's gonna be really good to get it all out. But the things I don't want you to do is to stay in those emotions. Okay, so let them out and then get the fuck out. Okay, I really want you to just separate yourself from those emotions. Don't keep them with you. Okay, so once you really felt all of your emotion, you have to do something about it to get out of that depressed phase. Okay, so talk to friends and family, hang out with friends, start a new project, draw, listen to your favorite music, get out, go for a walk, go for a run, enjoy the sun, do something for your body and your mind to really keep your mind busy. Okay, because if you lay in bed all day and you always think about that person, it's going to be really hard for you to just heal, and it's going to be really hard for you to move on from that breakup. So get up, put some clothes on, go to the gym, enjoy the sun, go buy a smoothie with your best friend, go watch a movie, go do something. Spend as much time as you can with people that really love you and support you. Spend as much time doing things that you enjoy doing, even though that in the first phase of that depression phase, it's gonna be really hard to enjoy doing those kind of things. It's gonna feel like it's even fake. But what I always like to tell myself is fake it till you make it. And it's the same thing. If you are not happy and you want to be happy again, you gotta fake it until you make it. So go do all of those things that you used to enjoy doing. And even though that deep down you feel really sad, just do it until you feel better again. Because I promise you, it gets better. It really does get better. And I know that sometimes you are so stuck in your head and you think that it's never gonna get better, but I promise you, it does get better. Okay, you're gonna heal, you're gonna move on, and it's all gonna be okay at the end. Okay, it's not the end of the world. It's not the end of the relationship that you're gonna have in your life. You're gonna meet someone new. You're probably gonna have even more breakup, but that's part of life. Okay, and that brings us to the next phases and the final phases of the grief of the breakup is acceptance. This is when you accept the reality and you accept the situation that you guys had a beautiful time together. You guys loved each other. It was beautiful. It was fun while it lasted. But now it's time to move on and get going and leave that in the past, because this is where it belongs, in the past. People are temporary, and it's really rare that people are gonna be permanent in your life, even though like with relationship and friendship, I'm not really talking about family here, but people always come and go, and you cannot let yourself get affected so much every time that someone leave your life. But this is going to be another podcast episode, and I'm going to tell you how to not get really affected when someone leave your life, because I know that this shit hard, that shit is not easy, and I've been through that multiple times, but that's gonna be for another episode. But you cannot let yourself get depressed every time a relationship ends, okay? Because what I like to see it is that every relationship, it brings you a lesson, okay? Every relationship bring you something in your life, okay? What I learned from my relationship, I learned so much. I learned how to communicate. I learned how to live with someone else in my house. I learned how to love. I learned how sometimes I was toxic. You know, I learned about some toxic pattern that I didn't know that I had because I never had a boyfriend before, you know? So every relationship has a goal and is here to make you grow as a person. So try to focus on the positive thing that this person brings you. So yeah, breakup hurt, but I always like to focus on the positive thing from that relationship and breakup. Okay, so if I didn't broke up with my boyfriend, I would probably never be where I was today. And he taught me so much, and without even realizing it, I think he taught me so much, and I will always care about him, you know? And it's not because you break up with someone that you have to hate them. I would always have a little place in my heart for him because he really, like I said, taught me so much. And even though like sometimes our relationship was really toxic and we broke up, I still loved him at the end of the day. But I accepted the fact that we're not meant to be together anymore. And I accepted the fact that this relationship has taught me so much, and I have learned so much about myself since then. So I'm really grateful for that. And I really want you to focus on those kind of things and focus on the beautiful things that are in your life, okay? You don't need a relationship to be happy, and you don't need a relationship to feel fulfilled, and you are enough as your own, okay? You don't need to be with someone to be worthy of love, and I want you to remember that, okay? So that's pretty much what I had for you today. I know that was really deep. That's actually one of the first times that I talked about my relationship online. I talked a little bit about it from time to time, but I really went deep into how I felt during my breakup. So just keep in mind that breaking up, it's never easy, but I promise you it does get better, and you're gonna meet someone new, and you're gonna have new experience, new lesson, and it's gonna be amazing, okay? I just want you to keep going and keep working and keep healing and keep being amazing, okay? So that's pretty much what I have for you guys today. I really hope that you guys enjoy that video and episode if you're watching this on Spotify. So I'll see you guys in another episode. I love you so much. Bye bye.